Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to do a deep dive on something a little different. We're going to be exploring the idea of hope, specifically looking at it through the Christmas story.
Okay, interesting.
And we're using a devotional piece called The Hope of Jesus. It's from Essential Worship. And it's focused on the 12th day of, I guess like their 12 Days of God's Character series or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So what's really cool about this is we're not just going to rehash the whole Christmas story, like we always hear.
Right.
But we're going to look at how this message of hope that, started with baby Jesus in a manger actually relates to us today.
I like that.
Yeah. And not just during Christmas, but all the time.
Yeah, I think that's important because Christmas, we think of it as this really joyful, celebratory time of year. But the devotional points out that when Jesus was born, it wasn't really all that happy and peaceful.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's easy to get caught up in all the, the pretty lights and everything. Mm-hmm. But back then it was a pretty rough world.
Right. Lots of unrest, lots of fear.
Kind of like today, right? Like we've got our own share of problems and craziness going on. It makes you think like, how can we even find hope in all of this mess?
Well, the devotional brings up this really powerful verse from Isaiah 9:6. And it says, "For to us a child is born, to us a son is given, and the government will be on his shoulders. And he will be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace."
Okay, yeah, I've heard that verse before.
Yeah.
But to be honest, it always seems a bit, I don't know, like abstract or something.
I can see that.
Like, how does a prophecy from so long ago actually help me with the stuff I'm dealing with right now?
I get what you're saying, but I think if we really break down those names that are used for Jesus in that verse, it starts to make a lot more sense.
Okay, like what do you mean?
Like, take, for instance, Wonderful Counselor. We all have worries, we all face decisions, and sometimes it feels like we're just stumbling around in the dark.
Yeah, totally.
But knowing that Jesus is called Wonderful Counselor means we're not alone in trying to figure things out. Like, we have access to this, like divine wisdom and guidance.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
What about the other names, though, like Mighty God and Everlasting Father? Like, those are some pretty intense titles.
They are, aren't they? And I think that's the point. Mighty God tells us that even when things seem totally overwhelming, there's this power at work that's way bigger than any problem we could ever face.
Wow, yeah.
And Everlasting Father, well, that speaks to that deep longing we all have to be loved and accepted, to belong. It's like a reminder that no matter what, we're never truly alone.
And then there's Prince of Peace. I feel like everyone could use a little more peace in their lives these days,
Totally. And while, world peace might feel impossible right now, the devotional really emphasizes that Jesus offers this kind of inner peace, like a peace that comes from knowing that even in the middle of all the craziness, we're still loved and cared for.
It's a powerful thought. And, the devotional makes it really clear that this hope isn't just something we pull out at Christmas time. It's supposed to be like a way of life.
Definitely. And there's that verse from Hebrews 13:8, Jesus Christ is the same yesterday, today, and forever. So basically, if he brought hope to people back then living under Roman rule, imagine what he can do for us now.
That's a good point. So it's not just about warm, fuzzy feelings. It's like a totally different way of looking at things.
Exactly. It's trusting in something bigger than ourselves, even when we can't see the whole picture. And I don't know about you, but that's a pretty inspiring way to live no matter what life throws at us.
For sure. And bringing it all back to the devotional, it ends with this really simple but powerful message. Have hope, friend. Have hope. But sometimes I struggle with what does that actually look like? Like, how do I actually have hope when things are tough?
That's a great question, and I think that's where remembering the whole message of the gospel is important. It's not just about Jesus being born. It's about his whole life, death, resurrection. And it's about the Holy Spirit living in us. Like, that's where we really find that deep, lasting hope.
I see what you mean.
And the hope is, even death isn't the end of the story.
So we've gone from the reality of Jesus's birth to how hope actually plays out in our lives, and it's clear that this is something that goes way beyond just Christmas. It's a source of hope that we can hold on to all year round.
Absolutely. And as we wrap up, I would like to leave you with a question. How can you take this hope that we find in the Christmas story and actually live it out, not just in your heart, but in your actions? How can you share that hope with others, not just during the holidays, but all the time?
That's a great question to think about. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive, and we'll see you next time.